Okay, and the testimony of Joseph says this. And hear ye, my children, also the vision that I saw. There were 12 hearts feeding, and 9 were first dispersed over all the earth, and likewise also 3. And I saw that from Judah was born a virgin, wearing a linen garment. And from her was born a lamb without spot. And on his left hand there was, as it were, a lion. And all the beasts rushed against him, and all the lamb, rushed against him, and the lamb overcame them, and destroyed them, and trodden them underfoot. And because of him, the angels and men rejoiced, and all the land. And these things shall come to pass in their season, in the last days. Do ye therefore, my children, observe the commandments of the Lord, and honor Levi and Judah. For from them shall arise unto you the Lamb of God, who taketh away the sins of the world. One who saveth all the Gentiles and Israel. And for his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, which shall not pass away, but my kingdom among you shall come to an end, just as a watcher's hammock, which after the summer disappeareth. So Joseph, he gives a last word of the 12 tribes of Israel. He says, I see 12 hearts feeding, which is a reference to the 12 tribes of Israel. And then he said, I saw 9 that were dispersed. This is a reference to the 10 tribes, or the 10 lost tribes of Israel being dispersed over all the earth. And then he says, likewise also 3. So the last 3 also were dispersed. And he said he saw one born of a virgin wearing a linen garment, and from her was born a lamb without spot. And on his left hand there was, it were, a lion, and all the beasts rushed against him. So Joseph, in his last will and testimony, gives a prophecy of the Messiah and what he would do in the last days by bringing these two houses of Israel together. What's amazing, I don't think just a few of us, how many of you are familiar with the testimony of the 12 patriarchs? The testimony of the 12 patriarchs. They're read and they're taught in seminary. They're authentic books. Just like many of the Dead Sea Scrolls give us messianic prophecy, so do these 12 patriarchs give us prophecy. It really is very, very good reading, and such a great blessing if you spend some time in them. Our Torah portion is called Vayigash, and he approached. Now, what I did this week is exactly what many of you, I'm trying to get you to do. Vayigash. I just looked up the very first word, Vayigash, in the etymological dictionary. How many of you have an etymological dictionary? Okay, I just looked up Vayigash, and you see how our Hebrew class helps us, because Vayigash, you would guess, would begin with a yud, right? Because the way that it's there but it's not. The nun has assimilated into the word, so the nun has disappeared. The dot in the gimel tells you that there's a nun that is assimilated into the word. So you don't see the nun. So the word is nagash. Nagash means to approach. So what I did is I looked at that word, and how many of you are familiar with seed words? Seed words. Well, Matt always does such a great job at looking up his Hebrew words. He really spends a lot of time pondering them and meditating upon them, and I really appreciate the time that he spends with his Hebrew words. You can tell he doesn't take it lightly. He is looking for God to speak to him, and that's really why you need to spend time in the Torah. That's why we developed this system of having people come and read and look up Hebrew words, because can I take a survey? How many of you actually read your Torah portion this week? Okay, so we did pretty good. How many of you actually spent time studying the Torah portion instead of just reading it? Because I can tell you one of the accomplishments for me was just to read it. So if I got through it, I thought I had a great accomplishment for that week. I actually read the Torah portion. But did I spend time studying the words? Did I spend time outlining it? All the things that Tony's been trying to share with us and teach us. That's why I was really lacking. So this system we have of having people come up and read and look up Hebrew words, I think will help you, and you'll begin to appreciate the importance of looking up Hebrew words. Matt gave us a word, if I remember, it's palat, pei, lamed, tet. And it means to, was it rescue or to deliver? Yeah, escaping. Yeah, escaping, rescue.
Birth, fugitive, or refugee.
Yeah. What you have here is a pei, a lamed, and a tet. These two words right here is what you call the seed word. The seed. These two letters make up the seed. You'll be able to go to your dictionary, and you'll notice that there'll be many other words that will begin with pei and lamed. And I want to look at this word, because this is a word that has been real important to me in my understanding of God's righteousness and God's judgment. It's the word palau. Palau. It is the word David sometimes used when he's praying. He says, God, judge me. Now that doesn't sound like something we would want God to do, right? How many of you pray every day that God would judge you? Has anybody prayed that recently? God, judge me. Do you know how many times in the Bible someone asked God to judge them? Doesn't the New Testament say judge ourselves first? Well, this word palau is many times translated as judgment, but it's the Hebrew word for prayer. It's the Hebrew word for prayer. And when you ask God to judge you, what you're asking God to do is to help you bring your will in line with His will so that they can become one. So when you're praying, that's what you're asking God to do. You're saying, God, please bring my will into your will so that they may be one. So many times this word judgment sounds like a very bad word, but if you look at the root of that word, many times you'll find out that it's the word prayer. So you're asking